Welcome to Mask Live. Today we are joining Amy Carney with talking about everything with parenting on purpose. Amy Carney is the author of Parenting on Purpose and 100 Questions for Mom. She is a public speaker, content creator, and product maker, helping parents raise their children with more joy and purpose. Amy and her husband of 25 years, Keith, live in Paradise Valley and are parents to 21-year-old triplets, a 19-year-old daughter, and two sons that they recently adopted from the Arizona foster care system. Amy most recently won her election for the seat on the Scottsdale Unified School Board, where she will continue advocating for children and families while strengthening her community. Amy, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Of course, I met you so long ago and so blessed to know you. And I just remember in the very beginning when we first met, how you shared you spent a year traveling the country in an RV with your kids. Can you just share that story?
Oh my gosh, yes. So this is kind of how I began writing about parenting and raising children, because our triplet sons were heading, I think they were in sixth grade, and our daughter was coming into middle school. And all of a sudden I was rushing the kids around, driving them to all their different activities. My husband was working out of town, and I had landed at the fourth child's, I think it was a band concert. Walked in, and as soon as I flew into the seat, the lights were going down. I had done everything I needed to do, got the kids where they needed to be, and I just started crying. I was sitting there alone, like, what kind of life is this? I never envisioned motherhood being this, or our, family being this. And so, in that moment, that night, I talked to my husband, and I was like, we got to make a change, or, I'm going to launch these kids into adulthood and have so much guilt and regret because I've wasted this precious season. And thankfully he agreed, and he quit his job coaching with the Chicago Blackhawks. It was, a nice, sexy job. And we bought an RV, pulled the kids out of school, off their sports teams, everything. And we traveled around the US to regroup and reconnect as a family and figure out what in the world do we want out of this season raising our kids.
That is incredible. I mean, when I heard that story, like I kind of have a funnier, like I guess the funnier version of it, because we have a family of five, blended family, 10-year gap between youngest to oldest, and the two oldest ones were in competitive sports and activities, and literally I would pick them up, pick one up, take one home, pick one up, take one to dance, go take one to basketball, try to eat, go back and pick up. And I'd be in the car for like 8 hours. And I always said, I need like a car that has like, I could put in the kids in the back, they could have their dinner, they could be working on homework, I could throw a load of laundry in, like almost, a mobile home, literally, that was like a mom mobile, because it was outrageous. It's this cycle and the stress that's put on the family, even though all of these activities are good and healthy and they have their own benefits. As a family, it's a strain. So I just
Mhm.
always remember that story, and what courage for you guys to take that step together to like leave such a lasting memory for your children and for their children, because they're going to remember how you guys took a change for them,
Mhm.
and that will be cemented in them for when they become parents. So I wanted people to hear that, because it mattered so much to me, and it always just was like, wow, what a courageous step they took, for their family. So um anyways, well, we will keep on our topic. The title of your first book is Parent on Purpose. Again, a courageous approach to raising children in a complicated world. I think we understand the complicated world, but what exactly do you mean by parenting on purpose and being courageous for your children?
Well, I think it goes back to what we were just talking about, right? We have children, and then we just jump in and we start doing all the things, right? And we do, fairly well a lot of the time. And but is that, I don't know, going to set us up for success, in the end? And a courageous approach to me means taking time. It doesn't need to be in an RV, but stepping back, stepping out of your, busy, overwhelmed life, and think about more intentionally, what do we want out of this season? How do we want to raise our kids? Are we living out our values, or are we just turning to the world, to do that for us, to decide what's best for our family and for our kids? And I do, think, like you said, all these opportunities our kids have, our families have, can be a good thing. I think that, it's a good thing, but it's not a good thing when it overwhelms us, when it takes over our family narrative. And so I think it's just trying to figure out, how do we balance, these things, these opportunities that our kids are involved in. If there's such thing as balance, there's really not. But also, how can we grab time back and say, you know what, no, we are not going to, our entire family narrative is not going to be spent on the soccer sidelines. We're going to do soccer, but we're also going to find time for these important things in our lives. And so I think a courageous approach is taking time and you deciding what this season looks like for you and your family, regardless of what your neighbors are doing, what your family's doing, what culture tells you is most important, what is truly most important to you, and how are you living that out? And that's kind of what my book is about, and trying to help you figure that out.
Well, and I love it because it's a reminder, because we are like in this like stage of parenting where everybody's doing everything and the kids feel like they have to do everything or they're going to get behind. And I think it's just a reminder that we are in charge of what we do for our kids. And we have this limited time to really teach them that. Because 18 comes and there's a whole other lot of challenges that come with that. So we have to kind of take this season and really, implement those pieces for, the long haul, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The second part of your book is titled Love on Purpose, talking about how we can better connect with our family members. What's one simple thing moms and dads can do this year to bring more joy and connection to their family?
Okay, I think this is an easy one, probably one we all struggle with, is purposely put away the technology, right? The devices are, overwhelming us. I mean, there's so many good things to them, but they really can overwhelm, us individually and our families. So I think that, everyone should look at their habits today and see how they can maybe, tweak and make some healthier habits when it comes to technology. For us, we have always created, Sunday as screen-free day, and it's just what it is. It's just what we do in our family. And the kids know, right? Don't even bother asking. The devices are all plugged in. We're going to have a day of play, and then the kids actually play together, or they get creative, or you just have times of rest. And so it's just setting up systems that work for you and your family to purposely put away the devices, show your kids, that it's important to do that. But you've got to create those systems and then be willing to stick to it yourself. And for us, we have a little box where the kids' devices live in the laundry room. And I think that's another healthy thing is, having a home for the devices. So they're not just all over the house, that they're, not in the bedrooms, but this is where they live. They stay plugged in here. And just trying to think how you can maybe, tone down the technology in your family, because it's only healthy, right, for all of us. And then we can really have true connection around the family table or playing games or whatever it is. I just think that's something that we all can probably do a better job in our families. And it's really, really important.
Absolutely. And, we always say at Mask, we have parent, contracts for technology and stuff, and it's better to start early with this. Technology is only going to be here and, stronger and stronger. And so even starting with your kids when they're little, just letting them know, oh, that's tech free, whatever day. Because then you won't have the resistance once they're older. They just know that's just what it is.
So, right. Or not in the car, right? If you're going to sports or running around, that we don't do devices in the car or whatever works for you. And it's okay if your kids don't like it. They're not going to like it. Like that, we get so wrapped up in, well, the kids aren't, going to be happy. That's okay.
Yeah.
Our job is not to make them happy all the time. It's to, help them develop skills that are going to be, lifelong. And so I think that's one way we've got to help our kids learn how to be off these devices that are consuming them.
Absolutely. And just the stress that they, it will help relieve stress, anxiety. And I mean, there's so many statistics all around technology and taking breaks from it. So infusing that in your family just sets them up because
Mhm.
everybody's doing it,
Yeah.
And what's hard is that the parents can't do it either. You got to model
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Exactly.
So one of the questions is parents are so busy and they're so overwhelmed to parent on purpose. Why is it important for them to slow down during the season of raising children so they don't have regret when their children leave the house for adulthood?
Hmm. Well, there's no do-over, right? When raising our children, and we can get super stressed out about that, right? And feel like, oh my gosh, but there's really not. So we get one chance at this. And so what do you want to do with the time, right? And how do you want that to look like? So I was watching moms ahead of me. And I was watching moms graduate their children, and they were falling apart. And I was like, well, what's going on here? I don't want to feel like that, right? I don't want to, obviously it's a transition, and it's, you can be upset and all that, but watching the guilt or the regret that people have because they didn't take the time to do some of the things that they had wanted to do or teach their child. I knew I was going to lose my first 4 in 1 year, right? Triplets. And then a year later I had another one. So all 4 right now are in 4 different colleges. So I was looking ahead and I was like, okay, I got to take care of me too, because that's going to be really difficult losing 4 at one time. Whether anytime you lose one, it's a huge transition. But I wanted to know that I was going to be okay. That's my job, right? That is our job, is to work ourselves out of a job. But I also knew that there was a chance they would be gone out of state, which they are, and that I didn't want to have to worry about them. I wanted to know that they were going to be okay. They were going to, be self-sufficient. They were going to be fine making mistakes and figuring things out without me. And so I just think that that's really important to think about the end and how do you want to feel,
Right.
And how do you want your kids to feel? And then start parenting today toward that.
Right. No, that is so true. I mean, because we're not raising children, we're raising adults. And so our goal is to be able to let them go and know that when they will make mistakes, and that is okay, but they know how to pick themselves back up, So even though you don't think your kids are listening, they're listening. They just don't want you to know they're listening.
True. And they're watching us. They're watching, more is caught than taught. So they're watching our lives and how we handle things. So yeah, I just think it's important because we can get so caught up in the day-to-day that we're just getting through it. We're just doing it. And we need to, raise them with more intention.
And it's like, you're not just like, I mean, everybody can fall, myself included, of just trying to get through the day.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want your kids seeing that. That's not living, that's surviving. So there has to be the balance of joy and, laughing in the chaos, because life is chaos. And we have seen that even more the last couple of years. And
Mm-hmm.
so, they are watching, and you want them to live and not just survive through life.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of goes into kind of our last question before we stop this live version. What's one thing parents are failing to do today, and how does that affect their children?
Well, I think it kind of goes back to what we were talking about. Parents are forgetting that their job is to work themselves out of a job and to be thinking about the end goal of adulthood and really teaching your children life skills. And I think that we're forgetting that a lot. We're running around doing a lot of things for them that they need to know how to do for themselves. As far as I see a lot of parents that wake their kids up every morning, right, to get to school. And then they go off to college and the parents like scared to death they're not getting up for school. And so, they're calling every day and still waking them. One of my college sons is an RA, and he was like, no, it's no joke. They're calling me to go wake up their kid. So, I mean, so that's one example of what can you be releasing, to your teenager, even your tween, that they can start doing themselves to empower them. That's only going to set them up for success in adulthood.
Absolutely. Laundry's another thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everything, we should be slowly handing over, teaching them, little by little. I speak to a lot of senior parents. Schools will have me come and I speak to moms of seniors in high school, and we go through a whole checklist. Do they know this? Do they know how to do this? Do they know their social security number? And do they know when to use it and when not to use it? There's so many things. And I love, that's one of my favorite things, is seeing like, oh, what my child doesn't know, and then taking the time to teach them that. So like I said, when they're gone, they're fairly self-sufficient. And we're parents forever, moms forever.
Right.
So we'll always be teaching, but I think we can do a better job of intentionally teaching life skills that are going to serve our children well.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll be diving deeper in this conversation and talking further about setting parenting goals for 2023 and how parents can model these goals for their children. Remember to watch this full episode by downloading the Mask Matters app. It's available free on Apple and Google Play, and you will have parenting solutions at your fingertips. Till then.